if you bend the knee to a criminal tyrant, and that's what he is. Understand, he is a criminal. 34 convictions would have been a lot more, okay, if they would have pursued it. He is a tyrant. He has no use for democracy. He has no use for the values of his country. And you are collaborating with this, and it will bring eternal shame to your company.
Hey, James, the White House believes that Americans are going to rally behind Trump as a global statesman. He claims he's resolved 9, 10 wars, whatever. I soon expect him to claim credit for ending the Peloponnesian Wars. But let's look at the Associated Press poll out last week. Voters gave him credit for his role in the Gaza truce. There's still a way to go, but he does deserve credit. However, his approval was miserable, 37%. Now, that may be a little low, but Reuters has him at 42%. Why? Voters want to know, why haven't you kept your promise to address the cost of living? He claims he's beaten inflation. Tell that to a bus driver in Newport News. In the government shutdown, this key issue is Trump has refused to extend the Obamacare subsidies, which if they're not extended, they expire at the end of the year. It's going to cost working class Americans thousands of dollars. He wants to give $20, maybe $40 billion rather, to Argentina because he likes the guy. That's his buddy, the president down there, and he's in political trouble. And why bail out La Plata, Argentina, and not help La Plata, Maryland? And now you folks out there aren't going to believe this. So just listen carefully. He's asking the Justice Department to give him Trump, as much as $230 million for the pain and suffering he endured in federal investigations. The Mueller probe, which, by the way, clearly established the Russians tried to help Trump in 2016. He knew it. And then the raid on Mar-a-Lago to get classified documents he had illicitly taken after Trump 0.10. His attorney general, his own attorney general, Bill Barr, said this should have been a slam dunk case. And finally, the January 6th insurrection, which you saw with your own eyes and which Trump incited. But he wants the government, the taxpayers, that's you, to give him $230 million. And James, with the Justice Department stacked with his cronies, he may just get the money, but it'll be a bigger gift to Democratic candidates.
Well, okay, let's take some things in order here. The first is the AP University of Chicago poll has it at 37. Also, the American Research Group poll, which is I've been around for a while, they have them at 37.
Yeah.
All right, somebody's 42. I was cautioning our listeners, look at that polling average and kind of pick out the better polls. Do a little bit like they do in the Olympics when they score, throw the high score out and the low score out, and then average the rest of them. You're going to be so accurate, only so accurate, but he's not getting away with it. People have caught on to it. That we know. Let's just, and it's going to get worse for him. That's just a fact, okay? Everybody is catching up. That 7 million people showing up, that wasn't bullshit. That's 7 million people. I mean, I don't know how they count, but it was a lot.
Right.
I didn't know this. Paul Pagallo told me Barbara Comstock was at the No Kings rally.
Well, yeah, I would expect that. She's turned into a great anti-Trumper.
Yeah, we ought to get her on the goddamn show.
Yeah.
Jeez, man. But at any rate, people, and there is, and I want to put this on watch. Trump's Republican number is starting to deteriorate. Now, we're out in somebody, but I don't think he would mind. A friend of ours who's very knowledgeable about Indiana, very knowledgeable journalist, pointed out that the Indiana Republican Senate is not going along with redistricting.
They just announced that they didn't have the votes.
They have a vote. This is how things deteriorate. Okay, they start, as you take one brick out, and then the edifice gets weaker. You're going to start seeing that. Yeah. I think you're going to have a stampede after Tuesday's election coming up in 2 weeks in Virginia and New Jersey. I think What happens is one cow, we used to raise cattle when I was a kid, so we used to kinda round them up. I had some experience at this. One gets away and, you try to get him back in. 3 get away and you got a problem.
You got a real problem.
Yeah, you had a real problem.
Even the dog can't get them back.
That's correct. That's exactly, and that number is starting to shake. They're getting shook, and we just and we caught because we can't do anything. We stuck in the election cycle. And if you're listening, Mike and Cheryl's campaign, the most fruitful place that you can do it. I know New Jersey, and what you want is you want your candidate on his heels, on the defensive, the last 2 weeks. And I highly suspect that there's a relationship between Schiaparelli and this Paul Ingressa guy, and all of these Republicans, these New York State Republicans that are on this just horrific, I mean, the most horrific anti-Semitic and racist shit that you can imagine. I mean, shit we wouldn't even repeat on here. But get all of those people and scrub these finance reports, scrub everything, and I can't tell you for certainty that you're going to hit oil, but I'm going to tell you the geology in this thing looks good. And stay pull an all nighter at your Trenton headquarters or wherever you are, and you're going to find something. And you can put this guy on his heels, which is where you want him, in the close of this election. And check it out and check it closely. Do your research, leak like a sieve, do everything that you can to see. But I would not be surprised at all if there's some connectivity between these two, and bring it up and use it and hit them hard.
And James, by the way, Paul Ingrassia, nomination was pulled for the special counsel role, but he's still at the White House. They're the neo-Nazis have their places in this administration.
Right.
It's part of it, So it's not like he's gone. He is just one of, I suspect, more than a few.
You gotta read his actual words.
Yeah.
Sometimes it becomes antiseptic. Well, you say, well, they were all this kind of racist, anti-Semitic chat. It's so much worse than you think. You can't imagine. I mean, it's hard to believe that people, and a lot of people that are not like that in the United States, they're in the highest places you can be. And Trump is not remotely offended by this. All right? Not remotely.
Well, he had dinner a couple of years ago with, one of the worst Holocaust deniers and anti-Semites, imaginable. So, of course, he's not offended. James, I'm going to bring up one more thing. Following the predictable playbook of authoritarian regimes from the Soviet Union, Italy, and Germany a century ago to Budapest in this century, this administration is moving to control higher education. In what is nothing but an extortion racket, the Trump administration is telling universities, go along with these policies on admissions, teaching, speech, tuition, and you'll get more federal money. If you don't, you'll get less. In other words, basically, grants have nothing to do with merit. They had to do with whether you obey us. It was crafted by Mark Rowan, a rich private equity executive who I believe has done real damage at his alma mater, the University of Pennsylvania, and it would be enforced by the blatantly partisan Trump Justice Department. So far, universities like MIT have rejected this shakedown, saying grants should be based on merit. Some conservatives have said it clearly violates constitutionally protected speech and academic freedom, but this really is out of the playbook. And while there may be legitimate criticisms of universities, there are on affordability and diversity, Trump control of American higher education sure as hell isn't the answer.
So did I read this right? That the University of Virginia acquiesced in this shit?
I don't think so. I think what they said, there's a separate issue with them. They originally said they rejected the compact. And I maybe something happened this morning.
I want to reserve comment till next week.
Okay.
Because I want to be absolutely sure that I have this factually right, and I'm not I thought I read something that they were bending a knee.
Well, I read a headline too, and then I looked, and it appears like it was another issue, but no, they may have because
Right.
they
We will discuss this and be sure.
will
If
come
you
up.
did, Charlottesville, you got a problem.
Yeah. Well,
You got
so
yeah.
I'll tell you what, Vanderbilt hasn't answered yet. They're one of the 9. University of Texas and Vanderbilt are the 2 that haven't answered. But you know the
I would give Texas slightly more leeway than Vanderbilt because they are somewhat on the public sugar tier a little bit. I wouldn't give Vanderbilt and I wouldn't give UVA an ounce of leeway.
well, I would not, but I wouldn't give Texas either.
I
This
wouldn't.
is
I said
yeah,
a modicum. I don't mean very much.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
and understand their board is appointed. There's nothing but Republicans on that board because they have nothing but Republican governors. So I don't have any Virginia, Vanderbilt, nothing.
right.
I mean, some people it's just the politics of the time, but all of the people that bent a knee to this, I think history is going to really, really judge
Apps,
them more.
you
There are
know,
several.
and I understand what you're saying, and I even identify with someone about Texas. That's a great state university.
It's great.
If they bow to this, they
They
will no longer be a great state university.
they are
Pure
going.
and simple.
Right. They're going to hurt themselves.
Yes.
It is
Significant.
short-sighted, and people are not going to forget. You know what we do with collaborators,
Right.
and I think of these corporations. My fantasy dream is that this nightmare ends in 2029. And I think we ought to have radical thing. I think they all ought to have their heads shaven. They should be put in orange pajamas, and it should be marched down Pennsylvania Avenue, and the public should be invited to spit on them. The universities, the corporations, the law firms, all of these collaborators should be shaved, pajamaed, and spit on.
Disney and Paramount. Yeah, no, I don't disagree.
Some
You know,
people have
let
government
me.
contracts. I mean, I don't know about Lockheed or something like that. Okay, a little bit, but the people that unnecessarily bent a knee to this guy, no way,
Yeah.
no way. And the idea is you have to pay more because you did this, because it is the only way that you're going to discourage future collaborators in the United States.
Yeah, because James, as we know, one thing we know about a bully, if you give in to a bully, that's not it. That's not the end of it. The bully doesn't say, okay, fine, it's all. Bully comes back for more. And he
Absolutely.
will always come back for more. And those law firms, if they think they've seen the end of this, they're crazy. They have not.
It's a moral judgment.
Yeah.
If you bend a knee to a criminal tyrant, and that's what he is. Understand, he is a criminal. 34 convictions would have been a lot more, okay, if they would have pursued it. He is a tyrant. He has no use for democracy. He has no use for the values of his country. And you are collaborating with this, and it will bring eternal shame to your company.
Yeah, and let me give just an example so people understand this, because they try to dress it up in what really is bullshit. One of the provisions says that any place will be censored and probably lose money if anyone, faculty, students, or anyone basically supports a group that has been designated a terrorist organization by the U.S. government. So that means I am a professor at the University of Pennsylvania, and we're having a class on politics. And I said, I think a lot of this Antifa stuff is really exaggerated. They're not really much of a threat. It's a bunch of, radical who make some noise and every now and then some trouble. But compared to the Proud Boys, the Oath Keepers, they are, really no threat at all. That's the kind of thing that would lose that university money. That, as Robert George, a very conservative Princeton professor, said, absolutely is a violation of constitutionally protected speech.
First of all, I don't know what the fuck Antifa is. Where can I want to punch the president of Antifa. Give me his address. Where do I find this son of a bitch?
Well, where's the
where is it?
Where's the headquarters, James?
Yeah, where's the headquarters?
Yeah.
Who is the board of directors? Who are those? There is no such thing as Antifa. It's like attacking vapor. Right? there is no Antifa. So I'm defending air. It's the same thing, or attacking air. I mean, what, I mean,
That's not Antifa,
no,
James.
that's not. Oh, I forgot to turn it off. It's one thing when my phone rings, it's me. But yeah, I'm serious. We just keep, and they loop into this, and they keep repeating it, and it doesn't exist. There is no such thing as Antifa. It's not an organization. There's nothing. There is such a thing as the Communist Party USA.
And the Proud Boys
Yeah,
and the oath,
there is
the
a Proud Boys.
the Oath Keepers.
Absolutely. The
Right.
American Nazi Party.
Yeah, yep.
It exists.
Even the Ku Klux Klan still exists.
Yeah. But what we always do, I think this stuff, I'm serious. I know, I think this thing is starting to unravel. And when they start to unravel, they unravel quickly. And, I spoke last night, Albert, to a group of Virginia Democrats to raise money for the state house. By the
Right.
way, the House majority leader in Virginia is one impressive son of a bitch. I got to tell you, man,
Don Scott.
there's so many impressive Democrats out there you can't
Yeah.
imagine. But whatever, and I believe this, and I told him, I says, I'm not looking to win. That's not what I'm interested in. I'm interested in what I call a John Hancock election. That it's unmistakable that you can read these results without your spectacles. We going big. We going big, and I think we're gonna win big. And I think if the Cheryl gets a good close, I think she can surprise people on the margins in New Jersey. I'm not into the, oh my God, woe be me. Maybe I'll be disappointed, but I don't think I will.
No, I feel good about her race too. I feel good about all the Virginia races, including the the state legislature. How about the attorney general race, though? That's a tough one down there in Virginia. That guy really created problems for himself.
How much, the philosophical discussion is, if Spanberger wins by double digits, can this guy lose?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. He was kind of really, really stupid. He was texting with a Republican female legislator, and he put this stuff, you know, I don't know. We shouldn't. The guy made one mistake. It was a big one. Okay, we always feel like we got to mention it. He said it. He apologized. I think, but was really bad. I don't think he told Spanberger, and but I think that's bad. I think his real sin is he knew this was out there, and he didn't level with people. But
That's right.
that's bad.
And the Republicans knew it was out there, and they waited. They did it shrewdly.
Right. Everybody, he knew
right.
It was out there. They knew it was out there. His big error is not saying something trying to impress some female on a text chain. The big mistake was he would have been much better off if he'd have gotten ahead of it.
Right.
And if he was sitting there with Spanberger and I've been chastised, I told our gubernatorial candidate it was just a dumb thing. I was trying to impress this female, and it was a failed effort. It would have diminished this thing by 50%.
Sure, but these guys always think they're not going to get caught. They live in a make-believe world, and
Yeah.
I hope
to be learned here. And always, the hardest research you always have to do on your own candidates.
Right.
That's it. They don't do it because they're scared what you're going to find.
Yeah.
You look too hard, you might find something else.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's real lessons to be learned from this episode. But I going to be hard. It's going to hurt him. He's going to definitely run behind her. But at some point, I think of people tell me that just political physics of gravity will take over.
Well, a lot of people have already voted too. And people voted before this came out, so we'll see.
I think the Oppo research is being done by the Democrats.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think they want this guy. I think that they've had experience where you have these too good to be true candidates that turn out to be too good to be true. I think that they made a decision that they wanna go with a known quantity here, and I'm not telling you whether it's the right decision or wrong decision, but I think that's a decision that's been made.
I have great problems with her age, but I think it's the right decision. And I'll tell you what else, James. I just talked to a couple of I don't know what Paul says. This guy in Texas is for real.
No, I talked to him on the phone,
Yeah.
and I gotta tell you, he struck me after a 15-minute telephone conversation. It is it's really something, and
He is in the poll, at least 1 or 2 polls. He's just blown by Colin.
right, I think they're gonna have a hard time containing him, and I
Yeah.
because I think that they're looking for something different, not but, no, you can't stop people from hoping,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
That's it's a great movie that, how many have you ever seen the going flicking and the Shawshank Redemption has 15 minutes to go. Have you ever turned it off? No. No one has ever turned the ending of that movie off, you know?
No.
And, hope is a wonderful thing, and it's the same thing, and with some, if what I'm starting to see continues, and there has been a deterioration, there has been a deterioration. I repeat, there has been a deterioration. If this continues, watch out. Watch out.